Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Josh from Missouri St. Louis. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. Don't adjust your screen, folks. It's been a couple years, but and this is something I tell my recruits or kids I talk to all the time. Always be nice and make those relationships because you never know where that coach will end up next. So, folks may remember Coach Josh was the assistant at Lenore Rhine, and I interviewed him. Oh, yeah, it's 2 years or yeah, about 2 years ago. Uh, Now you're the head coach of Missouri St. Louis, so that came full circle, right?
Yeah, it did. It's the coaching industry is a small world with a lot of people that know each other and a lot of opportunities that come up. So, like you said, it's never a good thing to burn bridges and always good to keep on the good side of people.
Exactly. So you just finished up your second season. It's January. In fact, based on your bio, tomorrow is your 2 year anniversary of being named. Exactly. So congrats and congrats on the nice jump from year one to year two. And now I'm sure you're going to keep it going for year three. And a lot of that I'm sure has to do with recruiting.
Absolutely.
So. We had ECNL a couple weeks ago. Disney's this weekend. It's showcase season. As a Division two men's program, what is your timeline looking like right now? Are you done with 25s? Are you still finishing up a few? What's your focus right now?
We're still looking. Yeah. It's always interesting to me when we get to this time of year, and especially with the ever-changing landscape of college soccer at the moment, different eligibility questions and different opportunities for people to play for longer in college. The landscape is so fluid at the moment, but we're still looking. Like you said, 2 years sort of in the job now. The first year was a bit of a rush to get as many in as we could. Last year we did a good job, and I think it was reflected a little bit on the increased level of performance on the pitch. And this year we're able to be a little bit more selective. We had a big graduating class this last time around, so we've had to do quite a sizable amount of recruiting, but we are still currently actively looking for 2025s.
So where are your favorite stomping grounds to find these folks? What are the tournaments that you're at and making sure you guys are seeing kids?
Yeah, we're very fortunate here in St. Louis. It's a bit of a hotbed for youth soccer. So there's a lot of fantastic talent around here, and we're also fortunate with our school that we're quite an attractive proposition for especially in-state kids. So these are sort of our main focus at the moment, but we are constantly sort of keeping our eyes open and dipping and jumping into showcases based all around the country, watching live streams if we can't be there. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say we've got any that we particularly favor at the moment. We're still sort of figuring out which ones are going to best serve what we need, but definitely in the vicinity of St. Louis, and then a few other little spots that we like to venture to.
Okay. Well, looking at your website, you got an ID camp coming up next month. Kind of how important are ID camps for you? Do you guys work external camps as well? What's that look like?
Yeah, we do a good mixture of both. So since I've been here, we've ran three ID camps and we've signed a couple of guys from each of them. I think they are massively important myself. We get to see what the guys are like in our environment. We get to see how they sort of respond to our coaching methods. We get to see how they act on a daily basis through that whole sort of day. We get a really good idea of them as a person, and it helps as part of the whole recruitment process. It's never just a one day thing, but it's a great indicator to us of who they are and what they're like. But also for them, they get a chance to see how we coach, to see our methods, to see how we behave and act as a staff, to see our facilities, to get a feel of what it actually might be like to come and play here. So I think ID camps are fantastic, and we're also fortunate in this area. We have some great connections and relationships with particularly some of the Division One schools who will sort of host some fantastic camps with some great quality and some good numbers. And so the chance to go and work them and dip our toe into them is also a fantastic opportunity for us. So the ID camp scene is one that I think is a wonderful one, and when used properly and correctly. And if we can get that right, then we're hopefully going to have a nice pipeline of players from them camps.
One of the benefits that Division Two has is the ability to have players, quote unquote, try out or train with your guys in practice. Do you guys take advantage of that as well?
Absolutely. That's the I guess the next step from the ID camp is, if we're impressed with someone, and usually before the ID camp we'll know a good amount about, we're not surprised often by guys at ID camps that we run, because we don't have a 200 person strong ID camp. We're in the 30 to 40 region. We like that because, like I said, it gives us the chance to know a lot about the players that are attending them camps. And because we are in a good place of knowing who they are and understanding a lot about their background, the next step after an ID camp for someone that we like is to try and get them on campus, spend some time with our players, train with us. That takes the whole idea of seeing them in our environment, and them getting a feel for our environment to another level, because they are in it there and then. So that's a huge, huge part of our recruitment process. We've had guys that we have made sort of final determinations on from them occurrences.
Okay. Well, when you look at your roster, it's about maybe 20% international, which for D2 is probably on the low side on the men's
Mhm.
thing. What is your international recruiting like? What's your goals there and that?
Yeah, you're right. It is low. I want to go back to, there is such a immense hotbed of talent here that we really want to be a pathway, and we want to be a school and a team and a program that local kids, not just in St. Louis, domestically, full stop, but within St. Louis particularly, that they see as a genuine place to come and play at the Division 2 level. I do think that percentage of international players on our roster is going to increase. The school has introduced some opportunities for us to do that, with how they accept students, and sort of what they're looking for there. So I am excited that that is going to increase. I think it's an amazing part of college soccer to have people from all over the country, all around the world, to come together, with the common love of the game. It's a massive part of this experience that all the players get. So we will probably increase, but I don't think we'll ever be one of the schools that has 70, 75, 80% internationals on our roster. That'll never be sort of how we are here. It'll always be a nice blend of local talent, some excellent players from around the country, and then a sprinkling of international guys.
Okay. Well, with all that said, what is it that kind of makes up that hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player, both on the field and off?
Yeah, we'll start with off, because, ultimately there are talented football players, soccer players all around the world. There are talented soccer players everywhere you look. You go on any of these showcases, there are countless players that can go and play at the college level. So the talent is not necessarily the hardest thing to find. What I think is the most important thing to find is the person. So we look for someone who is hardworking, driven, team centric. That's probably the most important of all of it. Understanding that the role might be, I'm going to come in and make a difference straight away on the pitch. The role might be, I'm going to come in and it might take me a year or two before I'm really contributing on the pitch. So how else can I help the program? The role might be, I'm going to come in and contribute in some games when I'm needed, and some games I might not be. So it's how can that person embrace their role, whatever the role may be. So that team centric thing. But also, we're in a position where we're trying to take this program to new heights. And in order for us to do that, we need ambitious people. So that's a huge one. When we talk with recruits, whether they're transfers or true incoming freshmen, we want players and people that have serious ambition to be successful across all walks of life, because that translates onto the pitch pretty well. In terms of as a player, high soccer IQ is really important. Um, that's going to allow us to implement a lot of the things that we want to implement with them, with the team, and help us continue to take the team forward. But also, a solid technical basis is crucial. We have to have an element of physicality, whether that's speed, whether that's strength, agility, whatever it might be, that's going to allow you to compete, because we are in a very strong conference with some fantastic programs. So we have to be able to compete tactically, technically, physically, So they're sort of the areas that we look to really look into for our players. But the IQ is for me really important because that allows us to really get to work with the players.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the school. Obviously, must be a, a a good fit for you to pull you away from the school that you went to, that you were coaching at. So, after 2 years, kind of what have you found? What's awesome about the school? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Absolutely, yeah. It's You're right, because Lenore meant an awful lot to me. Was an incredible place with incredible people and a huge part of my life. And for me and my wife to take the step away from Lenore and the Hickory community, it had to be somewhere special and somewhere that we really thought was going to be somewhere we could enjoy an incredible next chapter of our lives. And we are very fortunate to have found and been given the opportunity to come here. Um, to be based in a big city is relatively rare at the Division 2 level. There's a lot of schools where there's not much going on in the surrounding area. So we're fortunate here in St. Louis that we have a lot going on. It's an incredibly fun place to live. There's a lot of things to do. Um, and something that I think players and staff, when I'm recruiting my assistant coaches, the same, but players can really enjoy their time here, their experience here for 4 years, 2 years, whatever it might be. But in terms of the school, for me, the best thing was the people. I came for my interview just over 2 years ago now for that part of the process, and you meet the people here, and you just have an incredible department, an incredible administration. Of people supporting that just want us to be successful. What can we do to help you? How can we help you get to the next level? What do you need from us? They're all the sort of questions that come here. And so the people is something that you never get from a website. You never sort of get that behind the scenes feel. But here at UMSL we have that, which is tremendous. Um, the One of the major things that attracted me to this job was understanding the high academic standards of this school as well. I know that players that I recruit here are going to get a fantastic education that's going to set them up once they're done playing here for a tremendous career in whatever industry they're in. And I don't care. I don't care if you're a business major. I don't care if you're a nursing major, an engineer, an education major. I know that here you're going to receive a tremendous education and be really well equipped and prepared to go on and be successful in life. And that's what we want to do. We want to create successful husbands, fathers, brothers, sons, employees, employers. That's what we want to do here. And so that's something that I think is tremendous about this school. And then the final thing I would say is that we're growing. There's a lot of the higher education landscape right now that's struggling financially and struggling for growth. And thankfully, and it's been the way since I got here, thankfully, we're the opposite. We're developing, we're building new buildings, adding new programs, and we're growing. So that's a really exciting thing about UMSL as well.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, eh, take me back to October, the heart of that GLVC season. It's a brutal conference. I, when I was coaching back in the day, we played a lot of GLVC schools, so I know what it's like. Walk me through a typical week, practices, games, meals, classes, all that stuff. What's it like for a player?
Yeah, you're right. The word brutal is fantastic to to describe it. It's incredible. We have so many strong programs. It's an exciting challenge every day, and so for a week for us, our games are on Friday evenings and Sunday afternoons. It's a very very quick turnaround between games, which is challenging. Um, it means that our mandated NCAA mandated day off is on Mondays. So we take Monday off. The players are still in class though, so still doing all their academic stuff. Tuesday we will be in class sort of morning and early afternoon, and then we will do a recovery sort of lifting session with our strength and conditioning coach, our director of sports performance, and after that we'll go out to the grass and we'll do a session which is usually a split session. The guys that played a lot of minutes the previous weekend will do some further recovery, and the guys that didn't get the minutes at the weekend will do a more intense session to try and get some in their legs to make up for them minutes they missed. Wednesday, same sort of thing, class till the early afternoon. We flip it on a Wednesday and we train first. So we're out on the grass, we get a good session in, probably our most sort of comprehensive session of the week. Then after that, they'll go in and do a maintenance lift with our director of sports performance to keep them ticking over, to keep them primed to sort of hopefully avoid injury and perform at our highest level. Thursday is our match day -1, so classes again during the day. Uh, and then we'll do a sort of a light pre-game session, set pieces, walkthroughs, some finishing, that type of stuff, followed by an analysis session in our film room with a review of the two previous games. So by that point, we'll have shared the clips with the guys sort of Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. They'll have had a chance to watch them. We'll then select some of the specific clips that we really want to touch upon, positive, good things we did, definitely some things we want to work on, and then some things that pertain from the previous weekend to the upcoming games that we have that following weekend. So we'll touch upon some clips, have some really honest and frank discussions, but they're fantastic for the team to help move forward. Friday is game day. If we're at home, we'll eat 3.5 hours before the game. We provide pre-game meals. It's a nice hot sort of buffet style kind of meal, chicken, rice, veggies, salad, that type of stuff, some fruit. And then our women will play before us. So oftentimes after we've done sort of the pre-game meal, which also involves our pre-game sort of presentation where we go over the final bits of details of the game plan and the set pieces and the opposition. We'll then go and watch the women for a little bit. And our sort of warm up will start about 50 minutes before kickoff. 7:30 is usually our kickoff time on a Friday night. Saturday's tough. It's a bit of a combination day of recovering from the previous night, but also preparing for the next day. So we will do a combination of two of any of these sort of three following sessions. It might be a yoga session, it might be a session in the pool, or it might be just on the grass, with a recovery session and some little things to work on for the Sunday. So any of them three, we'll sort of typically do two of them on a Saturday in the afternoon. And then Sunday we play at 2:30. And same thing, if we're at home, it's a 3.5 hour pre-game meal. If we're away, we try and arrive any of our venues sort of 2 hours before kickoff is usually the plan. And then it starts again. The madness starts up again. So
Yeah, it just never ends. It never ends. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. I know we were talking about the roster. Is there a roster size that you find is ideal that you're trying to hit each year?
So nothing mandated. We don't have a JV team, so it's sort of on me to sort of go with what I like. I'm a fan of a slightly smaller squad, so we have 26 is the number I like to be at every year. Three goalkeepers, 23 outfield players. Sort of gives us enough for two players in each position, plus a couple of extra guys in the anticipation of some injuries or whatever it might be. So, one of the reasons that I like that is that there's no one who, well, if we recruit the right people, which so far we've done, there's no one who becomes disillusioned. There's no one who thinks I'm number 37 on the roster. I'm never going to have a chance of playing. We don't have that situation. So in the last 2 years, aside from a couple of guys that redshirted, everybody that has been able to feature has featured, some more than others, of course, and it's complete meritocracy. We go off how well you train, but it's the idea being that you might not think that you're high up on the depth chart, but if you have 2, 3, 4 weeks of good training, there's nothing that'll stop me from putting you in.
Okay. Well, besides the roster, there's the roster of staff, right? So talk to me, what does your staff look like? What is everybody's roles? Maybe what other support staff in the athletic department help with the team?
Yeah, so we're fortunate. We got some incredible young men, and what I really like about our staff is that we're all relatively young. We all can still, I believe, connect really well with the current generation of players. All of us are not far removed from the game ourselves. So I love that. There's 4 assistant coaches that I have right now, a couple of part-time assistants and a couple of volunteer assistants. To go through them, sort of my first assistant coach, Adam Knight, tremendous coach, very well connected within the club soccer scene here in St. Louis, quite high up in one of the local clubs. experienced as a assistant coach within this region, a couple of different stops, as well as a tremendous playing career at the college level. So he's a brilliant assistant coach for me. We sort of run this program together, which is pretty cool. We have Ned Kudic, who's our goalkeeper coach. He played here as well as at the local junior college. Runs his own goalkeeper academy in the area. Supremely talented at what he does, very dedicated, and having that tie to playing here is a great sort of addition to the staff. That takes me to another former player, Miles Barrington. When I first arrived, he was the first person to reach out to me before anybody else. And he's just an incredible human being. Um, the type of role model that I think every parent wants their sort of son to aspire to learn from. Um, Ambitious, energetic, played for 3 years here actually at UMSL, and just has an infectious personality. So he's a tremendous member of the staff who's been with me since pretty much day one. And then this year we added Josh Danbury Nolan, another tremendous young man who wanted to get back into the coaching world, has thrown himself in at the deep end and really given us a fantastic sort of new perspective this year. So um, another guy that connects incredibly well with the players. Sort of between the five of us, we have a really strong working relationship, but also I would say a great friendship, which is something that I think helps the program move forward. The players can sort of understand and resonate with us as a staff more in that way as well. And then we're blessed to have a fantastic support staff, like I mentioned earlier. The people here is one of the most remarkable things about UMSL, but we have a wonderful athletic trainer. Our director of sports performance is terrific. We have a superb assistant athletic director for academics who really helps the guys stay on top of that side of things, which is crucial. But right the way through from our athletic director, who's new this year, as well as our previous athletic director, so supportive, both of them, of what we're trying to do. The other coaches in the department, we're also getting behind each other's teams. So it's a fantastic environment, and I think that's something that helped us make some good strides last year, and something that I'm excited will help us keep moving forward.
Awesome. Well, now I got to ask about you. Talk to me about your coaching style and the style of play you look to play there.
Yeah, so in terms of coaching style, I'm a huge believer in sort of positive reinforcement. There's definitely a time and a place where some stern words are required, but I think to create and to foster the environment that we want, where these guys are going to grow and flourish and express themselves and be their best versions of themselves, I'm a huge believer in positivity that can bring that out of people. In terms of how we want to play, um, effective, efficient soccer is what I would say. The idea being in possession, we want to be a team that can hurt and harm teams in multiple different ways. So it might be playing through teams, it might be playing around teams. If the space is there to go over them and that's how we're going to hurt them, that's what we can do. Can we build out from the back? Absolutely. Can we dissect teams between the lines? Absolutely. Can we switch quickly? Absolutely. Can we be a counter-attacking team? Absolutely. Almost sort of a mantra of, there's many ways to skin a cat, so to speak, and that's sort of how I want us to be. If one team stops us from um one style of play, well, okay, can we tweak our way of trying to hurt them a little bit and see if they can stop us in that way? Um, it's something that we work on a lot with the guys, and that's why the high IQ is such an important piece when we're recruiting players. Essentially, it boils down to space. Can we create space in different ways? Can we recognize it and can we exploit it?
Okay. Well, you've been generous with your time. I just have one last question, and that is, if you had one piece of advice for folks going through this process, what would that be?
I would say do as much research and due diligence as you can, as much as you can. There's never too much. The more information you receive, the better informed your decision is going to be at all times. So if you're a young player looking to try and find your next stop, do as much research as you can. But then I would say this, which perhaps isn't always given as advice, but something that has served me really well in my life so far, not just career, but life in general. If you find the right place and your gut is telling you that you've got an opportunity that you really need to take, go for it. The gut is often right, which is, again, not always the advice given, but sometimes you get that overriding feeling of, no, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm meant to be. Maybe it's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to find something else, but this just feels right. Get the information you can and go for it once you have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck as you finish up this recruiting class and go into year three. And if you get to any of the events down here in Lakewood Ranch, give me a shout, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.